Hello, so I don't have a lot of time this morning. Um, I'm sorry if it's boring just listening to a voice. A Jonathan Kahn video uploaded, and it was just a black screen. I'm like, I'm losing interest because I can't see him. I know what he looks like, but I can't see him. You see? By the way, he's having a cruise, and it'd be really great. You could have communion in the Garden of Gethsemane and all that. You know, if you can afford it, go for it. Why not? Come on. Wow. But to paraphrase Les Feldick, you wouldn't catch me going to Israel. You would, if I were a Jew, you wouldn't catch me in Israel. Because they're such a target. It's such a dangerous place. Who would go to Israel? You have to be crazy. But anyway, but if you're a zealot, you know. They used to make pilgrimages to the Holy Land. If Geoffrey Chaucer wrote about that, right? It's an unfinished work. But there were different characters. They were actually people used to make pilgrimages from Europe to Jerusalem and the Holy Land. I don't have any desire to take that kind of a risk. Nope. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I pray that God will protect you. That's great. You have balls. I have to say that. You know, you have to have some balls to go traveling to Israel. Who would want to go there? Who? Okay, I need to stop. So I admit to doing a bit of doom scrolling. Well, it's whatever pops up on the feed. I am not seeking out negative things. It is distressing to know that recently there has been a study, a respectable study from Florida, revealing that many of our popular candy products contain arsenic. First, oh no, it's what is that, glyphosate in the flour. My goodness gracious. Why are we poisoning ourselves? And, you know, I'm sorry, like another farm field, now it's being put up for sale. It's going to be commercial property. Just what we need. More stores. More sarcophaguses which house people, you know, in a prison-like angular environment. That's, you know, people that bought properties years ago, they wanted to live here because it was more of a country-like setting. Now all of a sudden the farmers' grandchildren sold out for big money, baby. What are they going to build? You know, we already have a casino. That hasn't really helped the economy. Oh, it's really going to help. It's not helping the economy. Nothing's changed. What is it going to be? I mean, people have totally sold out. It makes me so upset how when you don't have a say. You don't own the property. Somebody just cashed in. Ching, 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 ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. It's not right. It's not right. But at least we still have public parks, right? That's the nice thing about the state where I live. We have many publicly funded parks where nature can exist. There's a particular park that opened up, and at first it was a little disturbing because you could hear the sound of the highway, cars rushing back and forth. But it's a natural place. It's just a little disquieting that you can hear the sound of the cars going back and forth. And, you know, and the other day I'm driving, you know, my usual route, you know, because I do avoid highways because I don't like highways because they're kind of scary and dangerous. A guy, like, apparently isn't paying attention to, like, well, the bridge is only 12 feet 5 inches high. Hello, get a clue. And he didn't have a clue. With his big semi truck. You do this for a living? Like, what are you smoking? Like, you're just driving under the bridge? Like, duh. Oh, they ought to they ought to deport that guy. I'm telling you. No, don't just suspend his license. Deport him back to where he came from. You airhead. What are you doing? And, he's looking really sheepish. I'm like, I have to look. Oh, yeah. Okay. You make a big deal out of your cultural origins on your truck. And I saw, you must be a complete idiot. I mean, you're young enough not to have Alzheimer's. What are you doing? Driving under a bridge? Not even realizing that the bridge is too low for your big truck. I mean, this sort of a person needs to not ever drive commercially in the United States for 10 or 15 years. You don't make mistakes like that. You don't have everything going on. I don't know what's going on, but you don't have it going on, Okay. So as I said, I'm doom scrolling, but not deliberately doom scrolling. And this thing pops up, well, they put so much sugar in American foods and blah, 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 blah. Take everything with a grain of salt, but I listen, yeah. It really, if the FDA didn't know about what they were putting in, what is in our popular candies, what in the world are we funding them for if they're not testing our food for safety? We used to have we did have an act passed, like the Adulterated Foods Act. What's happened? Who's asleep at the wheel here, But, then you have these Europeans coming on, well, American food is so terrible. They're just so fat. I went to Texas. Everybody was fat. And it's like, yeah. Go to Spain. Who's not fat in Spain? Who's not fat in Mexico? Please. You're a minority if you're thin in Mexico. Yeah. Oh, you hurt my feelings. I don't care. Oh, you don't have to go and eat fast food. You don't have to eat the processed food. You don't have to do it. You can buy natural ingredients. I go to the store all the time. I can buy fresh broccoli. I can buy cucumbers. I can buy... And by the way, yes, there are factory farms. However, there are also Amish and Mennonite people that allow their cows to be free range, and they're just the happiest cows in the world. Now, you could be a vegetarian or a vegan, and that's totally fine. And when I see those cows, I'm thinking, these cows are living such a nice life compared to the factory farm cows. Why do you just suspect, I heard America's bad, so America is bad. Nonsense, bullshit. Oh, I was talking about cows, so I'm allowed to say bullshit. I mean, Another load of crap is, well, a few years ago, when I was communicating with people online, a guy that had never even been to the United States of America said, I heard that America's really mean to Muslims. Like, oh, come, give me a break, bro. I'm shopping at a store today, and a Muslim lady's walking ahead of me, and I just I don't find it offensive. And I think, no, she's not from Somalia, okay? Because, I wasn't shopping in Columbus, so I was shopping in a adjacent town. She's wearing a beautiful head covering, and it's so colorful, but she's not wearing a dress, she's wearing pants, and she's not thin by any means, The only thin Muslims are the Syrian ones. They're thin. The rest of them, they're pleasantly... I'm like, I think it's, it's fine, if you're enjoying the largesse of the country, but what the heck are you doing here? You're in the middle of Podunk, USA. What's an Afghani doing here? And then later, after I left the store, there's a guy who looks Afghani, and he's got his son and I guess it's his son, I'm not really sure, but A teenage boy is following him, and he's not wearing a jacket. He's like wearing a blanket instead of a jacket. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty multicultural around here. But, well, they're not bothering me, you know. Yeah. You know, a few years ago, I prayed, like, God, you know, I really want to be a missionary. I want to go to foreign countries. And then all these foreign people started coming here. It's better just to show them the love and kindness and patience of Jesus Christ. It's better to even swallow your pride a little bit than to resent the fact that, I mean, as a Christian, not as an American, I say as a Christian who happens to be American. People come here and then they realize, oh, you know what? They lied about America. It really is a land of freedom and opportunity. I was watching Glenn Beck earlier, like, our president's mother came here to do a humble job as an immigrant, right? Well, that must have been a very special lady. That was special. His parents were both very special people. And still are. I believe they're looking down, of course. You don't know. You just hear things and you just bounce it back and forth in the echo chamber. My mother would say, you ignoramus, you ignorami. You don't know what you don't know. America is a wonderful place. It is a land of opportunity. It is so beautiful. You don't have to eat fast food. You don't have to be a drug addict. But lest I sound a little too America-centric, I've seen some disturbing videos popping up about people getting plastic surgery, even young people getting plastic surgery. Listen, I'm not competing with anybody, and I'm not envious. My mother, you know, she sold cosmetics. She was an Avon lady, part-time. So makeup became, when I was 12 or 13 years old, I always wore makeup. By the time I was 14 or 15, you have to wear makeup. You can't just go out not wearing makeup. And when, you know, even before my hair was turning gray, I was dyeing it different colors. I don't know if that was right or wrong. I could never get blonde. Now that's very interesting. It seems as if people in these Asian countries, they're worshiping at the fountain of youth. I mean, the Ponce de Leon from Spain, he was seeking the fountain of youth in Florida. Do you know that? Oh, Jesus is the fountain of youth. Oh no, you're bringing up that Jesus person. Well, look at Joseph Prince. He talks about it all the time. Would you like to listen to him? I mean, he looks very nice. He looks very youthful. He's around 60 years old. He's very youthful looking. But would anybody say, oh, he looks like he's 26? Well, come on. 26 happens once, and then I really, you know, it was about the time, you think that, I'm not really even sure if Britney Spears was even known yet. So many people want to be popular, so many people want to be successful celebrities. And I had in my mind, because I had some success in the theater, I had in my mind, I've got to achieve fame and success by the age of 26. And even my father said, you have a very narrow window of opportunity. It's just going to, when you're young, the door is just going to close just like that. Like, well, I'm still alive, What do you consider success? Well, let's look at all of your failures. Well, you're gonna look at all of my failures? I mean, there are territories yet to explore. I've only begun, right? Look at this poor person, Karen Carpenter, by the way. We've only just begun to live. Ironically, it was a jingle from a life insurance company. She's just like starving herself to death. Oh my, the craziness that's happening in Asia. Like, I used to say, I need all kinds of plastic surgery. Like, well, your nose is too big, you're Asian. How can your nose be too big? What? But notice they don't dye their hair blonde, but they really just want to look white without admitting it. They actually don't like being Asian. That's really the truth. Getting the eye surgery, everything like that. I always thought that my grandmother had really Asiatic looking eyes. So I always thought that's beautiful and that's exotic, kind of like Ava Gardner. Now you're trying to erase your human identity by having all these bizarre procedures like lip fillers. Like, I mean, I see, I don't approve of it. I do see older women that don't bother with makeup, they don't dye their hair. I can't go for that. No, can't do. Like, I'll be like Hall & Oates. I can't go for that. Like, just looking like a worn out rag mop. Really? No, I mean, at least you should try to beautify yourself a little bit. Like, my grandmother, especially my dad's mom, she had her hair perfectly coiffed, blonde, and she would put on makeup, she would wear perfume, even into her 80s. Because you don't just allow yourself to become like a worn-out rag mop. Why? I mean, I know you're not 26 and you're not 16, but at least you can look nice. These young people that just saunter into play. I know I might even have some children like that. They saunter into places with their pajama pants. Like, you take your good youthful looks for granted. You take your good skin for granted. I had terrible acne. Like, you really won the lottery, didn't you? Well, I mean, I won a few lotteries, but not in a good way. Like, in terms of dentition and whatever. The list goes on. So that's why, it's not vain to try to make up for the deficiencies which apparently have occurred to you. Or through your genetics, you have not inherited. Well, I wish I had a smaller nose. I wish I was taller. I wish my boobs were bigger. I wish my head was bigger. You wish. You're so ungrateful just to be a human being, to be alive. I love animals, but animals are not people. You understand that? And that people are now trying to become animals. They want to pretend that they're animals. What kind of nonsense is that? Animals don't know anything. I mean, they have such a short lifespan. Unless you're a giant tortoise, you might live as long as a person or longer. Everybody's just envious. Oh, I'm just so envious. If you're made in the image of God, wow, that's great. He really, on the sixth day, he created humans. Let's make somebody in our image, right? And then you had Adam. And they thought Adam looked lonely, so they separated Eve from Adam. And if you listen to Les Feldick, he believes that Adam was, I'm sorry, it's a little shocking, a hermaphrodite. So he took like the female aspect of Adam out of him and made an Eve. Because in nature there are still some creatures that are hermaphroditic, where they have, it's not disgusting or weird or perverted. Lord didn't want people to be lonely. And yet here we are in society. We have We cure all kinds of cancer, if you're shot, in the head, they'll rush you. I mean, even if you're a gangbanger, they'll rush you to an emergency room and they'll remove the bullet. And then you just go back to gangbang, you continue to live in poverty and misery and despair. Like, why? Because Whitey, why didn't tell you to buy no gun? Because Whitey. Oh, please, that's so lame. And these people coming over from, well, they're missionaries, but not in a good way, preaching communism, trying to ruin our society. Like, why, like I said, we have people from Africa, some of them are very nice and some of them are kind of assholes, that's really true. We have people from the Middle East, we have people from Asia coming over, and they're living the life that they choose to live. I mean, you live the life that you choose to live. If you want to swindle and defraud people, then you might be living in a very hoity-toity area. Some of us, well, we prefer just to be honest people. Because we know the world and everything in it is passing away. Live honestly, live decently. But there is, okay, you have to say it again. Oh, just shit. No, I'm not going to be quiet, so don't even start. Okay? Because when I was a baby screaming in my crib, my dad told me, shut the You know what he said? I was just a baby, and I wouldn't have remembered, but Dad kept reminding me. It was really funny to him. So, being the person that I am, since he's not here to yell at me anymore, I refuse to be quiet. What can I, which branch do we want to take on the tree? The epidemic of loneliness. There is an epidemic of loneliness. People are very insular. People have obsessive compulsive disorder. They wash their hands compulsively and obsessively. And there are people that I know, and they're influencing my children's. I mean, I feel bad about that. But it is a personality. It is an aspect of a personality disorder. Like a very strong-willed person, like they are just so afraid of germs. And they are afraid of losing something. And they hoard, it's a cluster of symptoms. Well, they can't raise a normal child, but the child thinks that that's normal, and they become an adult, and they submit to the control. It makes me so, it's like, I'm a victim. I didn't even know any of this. I wasn't sophisticated when I started dating and married somebody. I didn't even know. So I guess, to put a period on the end of the sentence, Europeans, well, this is what I find very annoying about you, like that certain European that hates Americans. Okay, come on, bring it, bring it. Like there's this American chick that goes to the Netherlands and then she complains because it seems to be or Amsterdam, like a fat-phobic city. And she says, why aren't the doors at street level? Why are the doors so narrow? It's like, Americans that travel overseas have not much to do, I guess. They have more money than common sense. I haven't been overseas in like 30 years. So I went once. I don't have a burning desire to return. I mean, if I had the money, I would do it, Please. So many people that travel overseas are kind of aimless, selfish brats. And so Americans talk so loudly. That's how we know who they are. I usually don't speak loudly, however, but I do remember when I was in Europe I'll be out in a minute. When I was in Europe as a teenager, I would speak a little more loudly, and I would sort of exaggerate my accent as if I wanted attention. That's kind of weird, no? Like, why do I need attention from Europeans? And then you go to Paris, and it's like, it's not Europeans, it's just all these short, swarthy little men scrambling around. Like, where are the actual French people? Well, they're not in Paris. Not many. So I have to say, I apologize. I remember being on a tour bus in London, and this American couple, apparently they're wealthy, and they took their kids on the field trip, and I tagged along because my mom knew a lady that was going to be a chaperone on the field trip. And the guy's like, why don't people like Americans? We did so much for you during World War II. And I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. This guy is just so obnoxious. You know, like, and then the English guy's like, oh, yes, I know. It's quite a problem, isn't it? You know. Who's paying the bills? The Americans paying the bills, baby. Please don't stereotype us. Don't hate us. I mean, we are the repository of the gospel. To us, the gospel has been entrusted. Only 5 more seconds. Your time is almost up. One of my favorite evangelists, in fact, I would have to say my favorite evangelist right now is Pastor Joseph Prince. I wouldn't want to go to Singapore because I'd have to like be really skinny and quick. So when I went to London, I was from a small town, and I wasn't used to like the rapidity of everything. The tube is like the underground subway. Like you just like this little blonde girl, Helen, was like the English guide, and she's like, move quickly, move quickly. You could tell she didn't like me because I was kind of a overweight American brunette, kind of slow-witted, and she's like, move, get onto the tube, do it now, did it. I'm like, ugh. What's so great about London? I never even went to Piccadilly Circus. What? Your tour didn't buy you a pass to... I never even got to ride the giant Ferris wheel. That's no fair. Man. But, you know, overall, I mean, it wasn't horrible experience in London. I don't know which was worse. London was worse than Paris. At least, you know, Paris didn't have like pornographic stuff, right? You know, right, you're walking along the sidewalk and you're seeing Playboy, you know, the equivalent of Playboy magazines, and then you go into a souvenir shop and you see some white woman's fat ass right in your face, like, I want to buy my parents a postcard. Just bumming around London, some fat white chick is sticking her naked ass in your face. That's not what I thought. It was culture. I thought it was all about culture. It's not about culture. It's about deviance, actually. Yeah, I don't like it. I just filthy. You can have London. I've never been to New York, but it's similar. So yeah. At the end of the day, stop criticizing Americans. Right? I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you throw at me bounces off me and sticks to you. So shut the fuck up. Thank you. Goodbye.